what forms the basics of good nutrition, and then in the context of today's lifestyle, what kind of diseases or deficiencies or disorders we may be uh, liable to if we don't if we don't give attention to our nutrition. Okay, so is my PPT visible?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No,
Not
ma'am.
it, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Is it now?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
We'll start.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
I
Yes,
have
coming.
slightly, tweaked the title. It will be like on nutrition, lifestyle, and behavior, and impact on health and diseases. Because, like we all know, good nutrition is necessary for maintaining good health. But along with the aspects which influence our choice of nutrition or daily what we consume, there are so many things which contribute to it. So let's try and understand these things. And if at all we find ourselves somewhere erring in it, then we should be able to overcome those issues. And as you all know, I'm very proud to say that I belong to the Mysore University, and I come from the postgraduate department of food science and nutrition. So to begin with, let's try and understand what are food and nutrients. Though food science and nutrition is not a basic science, it's an applied science, wherein we apply the science from chemistry in order to understand the chemical components, the elemental composition of foods, as we understand as like carbohydrates, proteins, and starch or fatty acids, lipids, vitamins, and minerals. They are all composed of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and various other elements. So therefore, that becomes a study of chemistry, because these are chemical compounds, or they are definitely components of our body. So, and also they are present in the food. So therefore, they will exhibit some kind of physicochemical properties. So therefore, that becomes the study of chemistry. We also study biochemistry. Then we also apply the thermodynamic laws, especially in energy metabolism. Then we there are certain fundamentals of biology also involved in the food science and nutrition area, economics of food and its production, all of that. And then apart from that, it also involves a little bit of agriculture, because when food is available for consumption, we should also be aware from where it comes, that is from the farm, and then what are the post harvest technology involved in transforming the food from the farm to the plate, and also veterinary science, because some of us are we consume animal products, so we must be aware of the fisheries, the poultry, etc. So the amount and the type of food what we consume is influenced by environmental factors, then differences in food, especially storage, preparation, and distribution. See, let us try and understand each one. Environmental factors, yeah, especially let's take the example of summer or winter. Automatically, without even anyone to be literate in terms of nutrition, automatically you change your type of food preparation. In summer, you avoid very spicy or oily, deep fried. Certain items you don't make at all because of the hot climate, and then you go in for cool foods or something which is not very spicy. You will drink lot of fluid based items or beverages or fruit juices or just water in order to overcome dehydration. Then in winter it becomes the opposite. uh, then coming to the differences in food and storage, see the storage, like we don't procure the perishables like vegetables and fruits and all for months together. We buy them either on a weekly basis or on a twice in a week, etc. Some of them may buy daily also. So how you store them matters. Then how you prepare them. Do you prepare weekly or do you prepare daily and store them? Then how is it distributed within the family? That is what we mean by differences in food distribution. Then there are also differences between people. Some may have certain likes and dislikes. So the sensory aspect, like what is salty to you may not be salty to the other member in the family. Then there are personal likes and dislikes. So we have some association with certain food. we may get emotionally disturbed if some preparation is associated with your loved one and you have lost them. In some families there is a tradition where we seldom again prepare that food because it was a favorite of so and so in the family. Then our culture also is a great influence, like this weekend is Diwali, so there are certain traditional foods which are made on certain festivals. So that culture, and on birth and death and various other ceremonies also, we have a variety of foods which are designated. And in social, there are social differences, and then there are medical differences. Medical differences, I mean, some who are ill, suffering from diabetes or cardiovascular disease or renal disease. So they will either be informed by the doctor and the dietitian to avoid or take special care regarding their food consumption. So these are the various factors which influence the amount and type of food we consume on a daily basis. Coming to the nutrients and substances which are present in the food. Now, the food which we consume in the form of either rice and dal and roti, sabzi, or in whatever menu recipe it comes onto your plate, seldom do we remember that it is composed of many chemicals, like chemicals in terms of carbohydrates, starch, protein, amino acids, lipids, etc. So apart from the nutrients, there are many substances also, like which are non-essential nutrients. They don't qualify as nutrients. There are also some additives present, and whether you like it or not, some of the food will be sources of toxicants and contaminants because of during transport or during storage, if they are not stored and transported in good environmental condition, then it can also serve as a source of contamination. Then the essential nutrients, if we try to list out from the food composition table, there are about 46 essential nutrients. Most important ones are the proximate principles. We call protein, carbohydrate, and lipids as proximate principles or the important ones, and these are consumed in gram quantities. And whereas we have about vitamins and minerals, there are 23 minerals which can be further divided into macro minerals and micro minerals, those which are required in more than 1 gram per day, and those which are required in milligram or microgram quantity. Then among the vitamins, you have water soluble vitamins and fat soluble vitamins. The fat soluble vitamins, what it means is that they need a fat media in order to be absorbed and transported in our system. For example, they are vitamin A, vitamin D, E, and K. So these require a fat soluble media for their absorption. Now, in today's talk, we will be discussing a little about nutrition, and then how our mind we can play with our mind can make us play with food. Like there can be a craving; it can tell us go in for these, and then simultaneously one more voice can tell you like go in for healthier food. So it's a bit of a war between our internal mind, what to choose and what not to choose. And then some of us are quite fitness conscious, so they might go to the extreme of restricting themselves of consuming healthy food also. They will be consuming in very small quantities. Then there are yet one more section of people who are suffering from chronic diseases like heart disease, stroke, arthritis, diabetes, etc. So this is that population who have to be extremely careful about what they consume and in what quantity. So I'll try and cover all these aspects very briefly. So with that background, we should now be able to understand what determines our health and disease, why some people are healthy, or how we can maintain our health, and why some people succumb to certain diseases. So from the science viewpoint, we can say that it is the genetics and interplay between genetics, environment, and food behavior. By food behavior, what I mean is that what kind of choices you make. Okay, so in the rest of the slides, we will be understanding about what we mean about the food behavior. So the three groups of factors have a strong influence on our health and disease. Genetics is very important. Then when the environment, it is not only the physical environment, the environment in which you have grown, in which you have brought up, and where you work, and what are the peer influences also. Okay, so to understand a little more about the determinants of human diet, economic status is very important. You may be aware about the healthfulness of the food which is to be consumed and which not to be consumed. But if you cannot afford, then that becomes a major limitation. Climate is one important determinant. Like some of the foods may not be available in certain areas, or all 12 months of a year they might not be available. Then geographical area, like in what fruits and vegetables are available in one part of India or one part of the state may not be available. So there are regional differences, which again depends. The nutrient profile of those foods depends on the mineral composition and the composition of the soil. How often is there rain, or there has been drought and natural calamities. Then also history in the sense what runs in your family. See, like most of us have a tradition to follow what our mothers were cooking, our grandmothers, and then the recipes have been, transferred from one generation to another, and we might have acquired some more recipes in our lifetime. So again, there is a history history also is a major determinant of the human diet. Why some of us are non-vegetarians and some of us are vegetarians or vegans. And apart from that, there is a strong psychological and sociological basis also. Okay, how you pursue a food, and what are the sociological aspects which influence. The sociology also is a strong determinant of human diet. So then apart from that, the data on food habits, then how attractive is the diet, the quality of the food, and the alimentation. What I mean by alimentation is the health of the gastrointestinal tract. These are more consistent source of knowledge explored by epidemiological tools. So medical genetics has given us a lot of input on these aspects. So food is an edible substance which is solid or liquid. When consumed, it meets the requirements of energy, bodybuilding, repair, regulation, protection, etc. What is the major function of the nutrients? Now, we don't consume everything which is available on the soil, what is grown. So we classify foods as edible and non-edible. So, and our senses, and then over the years, what our forefathers have tried and tested and said, this is edible and this is non-edible. So, physiological, social, and psychological aspects influence. So, what is it which affects our food choices? Okay, I'm sorry, this is not visible. Now I'll read out. The first one is the socio-cultural context of eating and food choice, the food choice behavior in affluent societies, and then the marketing and consumer behavior, economic influences on food choice, attitudes and beliefs in food, mood and performance effects of food. So these are all the factors which influence the food choices. And of late, we have been seeing some changes in food habits. Um, I think most of you would agree with me that we are seeing a change in our food habits. A best example is this, during the lockdown and post-COVID, and in these 7-8 months, all of us have, I think, we are witnessing to some extent changes in food habits also. Now, let us understand what are the reasons for this. The two major reasons are because of there is a demand and then there is a better supply. So demand is because of growing affluence. Now there are double income sources in most families. So there is affluence and therefore you can afford. Affordability has increased. So therefore there is a change in food habits. There is a change in lifestyle changes. There is an expansion of the middle class. What was the so-called middle class do not remain as the middle class because their income also is increased. Then there is a higher participation of women in workforce. Then from the supply side, you can see that there is a closer integration with the liberalization of foreign direct investment. Like, now you have hypermarkets wherein you can get all those imported foods available very easily. There is reduction in freight and transportation costs. And then there are umpteen number of supermarkets and fast food outlets. So all of them can come under the supply side. So because of these two reasons, there are changes in our food habits. So if what happens if we follow a faulty food habit or a food behavior? Food behavior is the choice, whether you make it a conscious choice or a unconscious choice. Without applying any mind, you may be selecting some food. Or why do you make a conscious choice? And there is a reason why you eat it. Okay, so this partly becomes your food behavior. Faulty habits determine the current health status. They increase the risk for developing some chronic diseases in later years. We may not know the impact of it on our health today, but if you continue your faulty food behavior habits for a longer duration of time, then the result can be seen in later years of life. Consumption of beverages, especially the soft drinks, which have lots of phosphoric acid in them, the ones which give lot of effervescence. I don't want to take the name of any company's product, but what one which have carbonated beverages, they can result in bone mineralization, and it can increase the risk of osteoporosis. What happens is because they change the pH of our blood and especially the gut, so this can cause bone demineralization, and then the thickness of the bone density can come down much earlier, and it can reduce, and this can increase the risk of osteoporosis. Then besides that, it can put us at risk of iron deficiency anemia. It can make us acquire more weight and become overweight and obese. And obesity is kind of an invitation for many non-communicable diseases. Excessive body weight can result in the long run in the person developing hypertension, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, depression, infertility, breast cancer, and endometrial and colon cancer. So these are all the from the studies which have documented wherein excess body weight increases the risk of all these health conditions. There are a lot of studies across the world which have studied on the effects of fast food, effect on calorie intake, effect on the BMI, obesity, CVD risk, etc. But I will not go in depth today. So I just wanted to emphasize that the influence of fast food or on your body mass intake, on increasing the risk of becoming obese, increasing the risk of cardiovascular disease or cancer, has been a widely studied topic across the world. So I was mentioning about nutritional behavior. So what is this nutritional behavior? It is determined by biological, anthropological, economic, psychological, socio-cultural, and home economics related factors. It is shaped by the individual situation. From a public health point of view, it is nothing but the outcome. Generally the outcome will be unsatisfactory. If you have made wrong food choices, then you may be suffering from certain health problems. And I mentioned that we are seeing some changes, isn't it, in our food consumption pattern. The dietary mix and its flavor is fast changing in India. We can say that the Indian plate has changed a lot. So let us see what is this change. Now, I think all of you will associate and identify yourself, and I'm sure you might have some time in your life seen these kind of food being served. Now, like this could be in a festival ceremony or in a wedding. It will be served like this, or this could be a thali, or this again is served on a banana leaf. This is again an example of a thali meal. And if when we used to visit hotels, we used to largely consume masala dosa, and this is what the waiter would carry it, how he would carry. And even at home on festival occasions, food used to be served like this. So this is how it used to be then. But look at it, how food is now consumed and how it is available outside, that is in the restaurants or food joints, etc. Now you have supersized burgers, and you have the drinks, that is the sweetened sugar sweet drinks, or you have the pizza. And here you can see people are just thronging the food joints, um, in the malls or anywhere. So this is how the present trends are in the food consumption. So with this, we can say that there is a change in the Indian plate. Now, let us see what we are eating more and what we are eating less. It is surprising to see that even in the low income group, they are eating less of cereal. And in high income group, the percentage of cereal consumption is even more lesser. And pulses are also consumed in lesser quantity. Oils are also consumed in lesser quantity. It is good that oils are consumed in a lesser quantity. Okay. Vegetables, you can see 50% lesser in low income and 39% lesser in high income. Fruits are also consumed much lesser. So you can see the growth in value of output. If you see reasonably a little bit of fruits and vegetables only are being consumed. That too, it has grown over the years between 1990 and 2000. So there's a small increase in the consumption of fruits and vegetables. So, what are the present diet trends? Current food environment is described as obesogenic, that is, what causes obesity. And the main culprit is the ready availability of large portions of foods. I think all of us, including me, we have a tendency, if somewhere you see that you pay for one and get one more portion free, then we will certainly opt for that. The main culprit is that, or something is offered with something, you pay for one and get one bottle of Coke or something. Definitely, we will opt for that. So the main culprit is ready availability of large portions of foods and high quantity and variety of energy dense snacks, sweets, and fast foods. The food joints are increasing like anything. Every road has, every street you can see has some food joint, either on a thela or in a gadi or in a food cart or in an auto or in a bicycle or a cycle. You can see food being available and sold. And so that has become very, very tempting. And low accessibility of whole grains and fresh fruits and vegetables is seen. And adolescents, especially, this is the most important population which has to be more cautious. And as parents and responsible adults at home, we need to teach them good eating habits, because what they inculcate today will remain for their entire lifetime, and that is what they can pass on to their children and the generations to come. So adolescents in today's time are eating excess amount of especially energy dense. And with the advent of home delivery system, where you don't have to pay for home delivery, this becomes even more attractive. So ultimately, their diets are lacking in whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, or simply we can say they are not simply nutritious foods. So you can see here what is the impact. This is a summary of the studies. If you have reduced our whole cereal consumption, that is wheat and ragi, rice, etc., there is a drop in the reduction in the consumption of whole cereals. What is the impact of that? There is an increase of diabetes and metabolic syndrome. We have reduced the pulses consumption. That has put us at risk of protein deficiency and also increase the risk of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So fruits and vegetable consumption, there is a small increase. If you increase this, then definitely you can bring down the risk of diabetes. And fats and oil consumption has increased. Of course, I said in the middle income and low income family, it is low, but even then, we are in current times, in the last 10 years, we can see that the NNMB and other surveys have shown that there is a gradual increase in the consumption of fats and oils. So this increases the risk for obesity and cardiovascular disease. Consumption of meat, dairy products, salt particularly increases the risk of hypertension. So, what is lifestyle? Let's try and understand what lifestyle is. Lifestyle is how you live your life, isn't it? You live your life is you must be having a kind of a set itinerary. What do you do in the morning? I mean, as soon as you get up, what do you do? Then, what time do you have your breakfast? What are your health habits, etc.? So, lifestyle is a general term used to describe the way individuals or family circles and societies live and which behavior they manifest in coping with their physical, psychological, social, and economic environment on a day to day basis. So, lifestyle is expressed by daily work and leisure profiles, including activities, attitudes, interests, opinions, values, and allocation of income. Now, this becomes a very important thing with double income sources in the families. Like, how are you allocating that extra income? Largely, we indulge it in luxury only. So, are you allocating it for healthy food and this one sources, or are you going in for annual medical checkups? Now, this is just a pictorial depiction of what we mean by lifestyle. That means, is fitness and exercise a part of your daily life? Regular measurement of your body weight and body size. How active is your lifestyle? Do you indulge in relaxation and yoga, meditation? And how often do you subject yourself to medical examination? And what are the choices of your of food? What are your food habits? Now, from a psychological viewpoint, lifestyle, the term lifestyle derives from people's self-image, self-concept. Now, this is the best way I can explain. A pussycat is looking into the mirror and seeing herself as a lion. So, this is again a psychological viewpoint. It's a composite of motivations and needs. And some of them, it depends on your nature, what type of a personality you are. Some give up much earlier. I can't do it. And some have that perfectionist attitude in them. So, it's again, I could say it's a composition. I mean, it's a congregation of motivations, needs, and wants, and it is influenced by factors such as culture, family, reference groups, and social class. Most of the youngsters today are influenced by peer group. So what will my friends think? What will they think? So and also most of us also we want to please the outside sources like the family, the friend circle, and the other circle more than satisfying your own, you know, personal self-esteem and self-efficacy. So, what are the time trends what we are seeing today? India is eating twice as much meat, egg, and fish as they did in the early 90s. I think the participants in this program do agree with me. If I say that if I have put across a statement like Indians today are eating twice as much meat, egg, and fish, whenever we go to a hotel for the family dinner or family lunch or whatever, if one is a non-vegetarian, we seldom see non-vegetarian families ordering vegetarian dishes. They may do it as a rare event, or it is not considered stylish, or it's not in thing. You are going for a dinner and you are not eating chicken, you're not eating non-vegetarian, and fruit consumption has risen. I mean, I did mention somewhere that we are consuming a little more fruit now, but unfortunately, we are not eating in the whole form. That is, apple as such, or uh, whichever fruit it is as such. So the form in which we are consuming has changed. We are taking it in the form of desserts or pastries or beverages or milkshakes and all. Where what happens, the fruit has lost its form, the fiber has been eliminated, and there is addition of milk or cream or lots of sugar. So although the fruit consumption has risen 3 times during the same period, but the form in which the fruit has consumed has undergone enormous changes. So what is eaten less than before are the wheat, the rice, and the pulses. Okay, and India, if you look from the past 6, 7 decades post independence, we are regularly witnessing transitions. Now, these transitions are not only with respect to agriculture or economy, we are also seeing with respect to demography. People are living longer. The lifetime expectancy has increased in India. Thanks to better medical care, etc., longevity has increased. Then social, from the social point of view also, we are seeing a transition. Health aspect, we are seeing a transition. Nutrition viewpoint, you are seeing a transition. Economically, we are seeing an agriculture. So this nutrition transition can be depicted like this. Now you see, like this is how we believe the Darwin's theory, like where man has evolved, and now you see that man has evolved like this, but what is happening is we are going back to this now. This is the reverse transition which is happening because of change in lifestyle. from being slimmer and thinner, because our ancestors were more physically active, and now we are more sedentary and we are consuming more energy dense food, so therefore we are becoming overweight and obese, and also we are becoming more uh, sedentary. So the nutrition transition, I'll just spend another 2 minutes in talking about nutrition transition. What it means is that a shift from consumption of simple, traditional, nutritious foods to heavily marketed foods. Heavily marketed foods are, we are relying only on processed foods, packed foods, which are high in calories, sugar, and animal fat, and low in protective nutrients. What are the protective nutrients? They are the vitamins and minerals, which largely are derived from fruits and vegetables. What happens is, in the earlier slide, I told you that the fruit consumption has increased, but unfortunately, we are not consuming the fruit as such. Okay, when you consume the fruit as such, when you don't subject it to processing, grinding, and change in the form, and adding other food ingredients along with that, the naturally present vitamins and minerals will not be available to us. They will form complexes and they become unavailable for digestion and absorption. So that is why a fruit has to be consumed in its natural form. Okay. To continue on the topic of nutrition transition, dietary patterns are shifting. If you can do a small analysis or assessment in your own families, what you are eating and how different was it when you were a child, and what your grandma was eating during those times. If we try and do an assessment, we can say that the dietary patterns are shifting. They've become more diversified. Of course, diversification is welcome, but diversification should not be towards consumption of heavily processed foods. And it is not only in the urban areas we are seeing diversification, even in the rural areas, among the rich and even the poor also you can see. Now, in a low socioeconomic household, if they can hand over 10 rupees or 5 rupees to the child and say, go buy something, before the choice would be bread or bun or packet of biscuit, but now you get chips for even 5 rupees. You get a small chota packet, so the child will go and buy. So the affordable, it's not that they can afford expensive food, but the food industry is selling and packing it in very small size, keeping the poorer households in mind, so that for 2 rupees also you get something, for 5 rupees also you get something, so that even with that limited finances they can purchase that, and that is how they develop a change in food behavior. So they get hooked on to chips or fries or these kind of fast foods. And the term nutrition transition, it characterizes the shift in disease patterns also. Now, health, nutrition and health are two sides of the same coin. So what you eat is what you are. So that shift in disease patterns is also because is leading to changes in our disease pattern. So this shift in the diet pattern or in the nutrition pattern is associated with changes in behavior, lifestyle, diet, physical activity, smoking, and alcohol consumption. Our food behavior is changing, our lifestyle has changed, our diets are changing, we are less physically active, and not to forget the health habits. If you are also indulging in smoking, consuming alcohol, whether on a daily basis or occasionally or whatever, so that all of that together has contributed to a shift in disease pattern along with the nutrition transition. So, in 30 years of analysis, the last 30 years, there is a 7% decrease in energy coming from carbohydrates, 6% increase in energy coming from fats. We are consuming less amount of coarse cereals, pulses, fruits, and vegetables. This is in the intact form, I'm talking fruits. Increasing, we have our meat product and salt consumption has gone. Our level of physical activity has come down due to rapid urbanization. Now everything is at the fingertip. So all of that is causing is leading to an increase in obesity, ketogenic dyslipidemia. What it means is that our lipid profile, I'm sure you are familiar with the term lipid profile. We do our LDL, HDL, and total cholesterol. So that high, we Indians are prone to having high LDL, low HDL, and the total cholesterol may either be normal or it could be a little higher. So it is the low LDL and high LDL, low HDL, and high triglycerides is referred to as the atherogenic dyslipidemia, which can lead to the formation of atherosclerotic plaques and in the long run myocardial infarction, or what we call as heart attack. Then subclinical inflammation, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases in Indians. Okay, I'll skip this. I think I showed this one. So let's in the remaining time, let's try and understand nutrition transition and disease trends. See, diseases that appear to increase in frequency as countries become more independent and people live longer. You know, this we are witnessing even in India. The life expectancy has increased. Now, there are three risk factors which are modifiable. Smoking can be prevented, can be stopped, and we can change unhealthy diets, and we can change to better diets, and we can acquire healthy habits. And physical inactivity can become changed to being physically active. So all of that can decrease the risk of these diseases. So the WHO and the ICMR, all of them identify the deadly four diseases, that is diabetes, hypertension, cancer, and smoking. Though smoking is not a disease, smoking can lead to pulmonary cancer or lung cancer, COPD, etc. So here earlier we were thinking only urban population will have diabetes, but now the rural population are not far off. Hypertension, we are finding 25% of the city dwellers are, and by 2025 it is estimated that 213.5 million of Indians will become hypertensive. And cancer also, it is increasing. More than 70% cases have been seen in the last 30 years. So there is an alarming rise in the number of people suffering from cancer. And majority of them are detected in the third stage or in the advanced stage, which leads to high mortality. Okay. So NCD deaths in India, like let us see the causes. Non-communicable diseases, unhealthy diet is one, physical inactivity, alcohol consumption, smoking, and consumption of tobacco. So this is an estimate, like, you know, how many people have died due to cancer is causing the death of about almost 0.95 million deaths can be attributed to cancer, 72 million deaths due to CVD, diabetes, and 30 million due to chronic respiratory disease, and stroke also about 1.5 million. Okay, so this is very surprising. I mean, it's very alarming to read that 72% urban Indians are at risk of heart disease, and of this 80% are in this age group. I'm sure many of you would have heard in your own family circle or friend circle, somebody who is in their between 40s and 50s have died due to a heart attack, which is very, very surprising. Earlier, we never used to hear, we would hear very rarely somebody succumbing due to heart attack, and that too after the age of 65, 70. And we can always say that is age related. So this pie chart gives you a very, impressive and very simple, easy to understand information. Now you see, this is in 1990. The blue area is 56% of the disease burden estimates was communicable diseases. Communicable diseases are diarrhea, dysentery, typhoid, malaria, smallpox, these, okay? So the disease burden in Indian population, 56% of the disease burden was attributed to communicable diseases, about 29% to non-communicable, which does not spread from one person to another, and 15% of the disease burden was due to injuries, physical injuries, trauma, accidents, etc. Now you see the trend has changed. At present, it is 57% disease burden projections in India are due to non-communicable diseases, including cancer, diabetes, hypertension, etc. Communicable because of advancement in control. We have a lot of vaccines and all these immunization procedures. So because of that, all the communicable diseases have been kept under control. And in injuries, the disease injuries as a cause for disease burden also is on the rise, probably because of increased traffic, etc. So I'll skip that one. There are a lot of studies which have given us a lot of information on the effect of nutrient intake and glycemic load on central obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. So I want to focus on this one. See, keeping all this in mind, what is the health industry or the medical industry doing? So what they did was very recently, there was a summit, Asian Indian summit, wherein they arrived at some kind of agreement, some kind of recommendations, specific dietary guidelines for healthy living and prevention of obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and related disorders. So, eminent scientists from various areas, biology, medicine, cardiology, nutrition, they all met and they came up with certain guidelines. What are those guidelines? That we should be consuming lesser amount of carbohydrates, especially the refined carbohydrates. We get our carbohydrates from rice and cereal and pulses and wheat. We also get the carbohydrate from the sugars. So the sugar consumption should come down and should be consuming more of complex carbohydrates. And we must be getting protein. Our consumption of protein also you should be deriving 10 to 15% of the total energy from protein, and the salt intake should be reduced. We are consuming anywhere between 15 to 20 grams of salt per person per day, adult consumption trends I'm telling. And as per WHO and the various associations which give guidelines for control of hypertension, they all say that our salt consumption should be less than 5 grams per day. And we must increase our fiber. When we are eating fruit, and when you're not eating a fruit, when you're drinking fruit juice, you are eliminating the fiber. So, though you are paying for the whole food, you are not getting the healthier component, and that is fiber. So, we must be consuming fiber in the range of 25 to 40 grams per day, and we must lower the intake of saturated fat. Saturated fat, largely we get it from butter, ghee, then animal foods. So this should be reduced. So when we apply these properly, then only we can curb the rising epidemic of metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease in Asian Indians. So it is very evident that nutrition transition in India has resulted in high consumption of calories, refined grains, and saturated fat, simple sugar and salt, along with low intake of fruits and vegetables. So such changes in the food consumption and physical activity patterns, combined with demographic and epidemiologic transition, they have contributed to increasing prevalence of non-communicable diseases. So, what is the remedy? When we say you are making unhealthy choices, what are healthy choices? When you say that you have opted for an unhealthy lifestyle, what is it we need to do? So, in the next few minutes, I will quickly go through this. Steps to a healthy lifestyle. So there are 5 steps to a healthy lifestyle. Try to get active for an hour or more each day. Now, 1 hour may appear to be a little difficult to start with, but at least you can start for half an hour. Become active for at least half an hour each day, then gradually it can go up to 1 hour. Choose water as a drink. Whenever you feel like drinking something, let it be let the choice be water instead of, a carbonated beverage or a beverage in a Tetra Pak, because you would be surprised to know that one bottle of any kind of a carbonated beverage will give you anywhere between 30 to 40 grams of sugar. And each gram of sugar will give us 4 kilocalories. So you multiply, if it is 30 grams, 30 into 4, 120 empty calories you are getting, which is not needed for you at that time. And it is not necessary also. So therefore, choose water as a drink and eat more fruit and vegetable. It is always better to carry, especially for us. We are all teachers. We go to work, and for your mid-morning snack, instead of carrying a cake or anything else, it would be better a banana or an apple or a citrus fruit, whatever, cut anything, papaya. You can carry this as a mid-morning snack in between a lunch, in between your lecture hour. This could be a quick thing. And you could carry even a salad, a vegetable and fruit-based salad. Then try and get active. If you are spending more time in front of the TV or the computer, be active in between and eat fewer snacks and select healthier alternatives. So here I have tried to depict, get active for an hour. It will be better if the entire family is involved rather than only the mother or the father. Choose water as a drink against all these heavy, highly sweetened ones, and then eat vegetables, okay, in their natural form, and eat fewer of these, especially word of caution for those families who have children in them. It's much easier to give them some money or order and get all these packaged items. Instead, they can be made at home, or you can go in for the traditional snacks and try to be active. An active body will also be will have an active mind and eat more healthy foods. The more natural, then it is much healthier also. So good foods should become the in thing, and bad foods uh, should be out. And you must shop for fat free or reduced fat. And we must develop this habit of reading the nutrition labeling. So whenever you buy a packaged food, please give attention to what are the ingredients and how much energy, how much protein and fat it gives, and whether it has trans fat or not. So please make this a habit to read the nutrition labeling. And also we must teach our children also to read the food labels. Then eat dinner as a family, and slim down the favorite meals. Now, like, if there are five people, all five people may have some special or favorite item. Every day you can't be making all that. So each day it would be one by one. One person's turn can come. So try and bring down the favorite meals, and eating together also creates bonding. So this is yet one more advantage or benefit of eating together. At least one meal should be had together along with the family, and this is a good way of bonding also. And minimize snacking. This is very, very important. As parents, it's important to set snacking guidelines. Nothing, anything should not be given. Like, fresh fruits should be the option. Occasionally, you can give the potato fries or a burger or something. And better still if it's a homemade burger, because so much of butter or lard or what is added, we don't know, in the name of cream. So when you do it yourself, you know how much of cream you are adding, or how much of cheese you are adding. So the choices should be more healthier. And this should be a total no, unless and until it is a cricket match. We all want to sit in front of the TV only, not miss out the important events happening. Occasionally, maybe, but yet excessive TV watching can lead to inactivity and mindless munching, because you don't know how much you have eaten. Only when the packet is empty, you will know that you have emptied the entire packet of chips or whatever you are eating. So please limit the overall TV time and get moving as a family. Physical activity, as I mentioned earlier, is very, very important in weight management. And apart from that, it has got other advantages also. Self esteem, it boosts and it encourages family bonding, just like eating together. And the other advantage is any kind of physical activity will lead to the release of some good hormones or feel good hormones, which are known as endorphins. So which changes your mood, it elevates your mood. So that is one big advantage of physical activity, any kind of exercise, cycling or playing a game of badminton, tennis, going for swimming or jogging. Anything you do, like, this releases endorphins, and that it has an influence on your brain, and it makes you feel relaxed and nice. So that is why it is called as feel good hormone. Okay, so Eat Right India. Now I'm sure, I don't know how many of you have ever paid attention to this Eat Right India campaign, which is initiated by the central government, and our Prime Minister also has propagated this. So what it means is, like, you have heard of FSSAI, Food Safety Standards Authority of India. Now, this is a central government initiative wherein they are trying to fix norms And any kind of packaged food you buy, anything which is packed and sold in any supermarket or shop, you will see that FSSAI license number and FSSAI approved. Now, I'm a member of two of these committees where we are involved in framing the nutrition guidelines for nutrition labeling, front of pack labeling, how much of what all information has to be depicted on the package. So very recently, this FSSAI has launched this Eat Right India movement, where the other components of this is to be healthy and safe and fortified food to be consumed. So one of them is Aaj se thoda kam. So that means from today, please try to reduce this. What is this? Reduce the salt intake, reduce the sugar intake, and reduce the oil intake. So it could be even 1 teaspoon less of oil you are adding, 1 teaspoon less of sugar you are using, or a little less of salt you are adding. Now, ultimately, this will decrease the risk of diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. So how you can do that? You avoid sprinkling salt or sugar over the food. Now, we say eat salads. Now, salads can be eaten as such. You need not add salt to that. That is where you can restrict salt. You can add herbs like mint can be added. Then you can add coriander leaves. You can sprinkle lime, or you can sprinkle a little bit of pepper on it, but avoid salt. So whatever salt which comes in your cooked food, let it get limited to that. Even in your curd rice, if you don't add the salt, try and inculcate and relish the taste of curd as such. Limit salty, sweet, and oily foods. Replace with healthier options instead of fried, all these sweets and all. Go in for fresh fruits and vegetables. Buy limited quantity. Now, if you go to supermarkets, this one attraction is that food is all on display, and sometimes, and since we all pay using our debit or credit cards, you're not carrying that much cash. Even though you're not carrying that much cash, because you have the card that gives you the um, confidence that even without cash I can purchase what I want. So we have a tendency to overbuy. We don't go, if I remember, in earlier times we used to have a small list of what has to be bought, and we would buy only that and come back. But now when you go, you come back with extra purchases. So those groceries, the extra ones, should be avoided. By limited quantity and use smaller measuring spoons to add salt, sugar, and oil, and this is very, very effective. These are two simple things which can be done, and very easily you can do this. Okay. So then repurpose used cooking oil. Like, if even if you're frying food, you're making vada or any kind of fried food, use less oil, because that same oil should not be reheated several times. It can result in the formation of certain chemical compounds which can cause GI upset. And in the long run, there are some studies which say that acrolein, which is formed because of over frying, frying and refrying, and then it interacts with the food in the causation of stomach cancers also. But we don't have any clear-cut studies, but it is one contributing factor. So, and while frying, you have to remove the food particles frequently from the oil before they turn black. We generally observe that at the bottom of the kadai, you will see some blackish, particles, and that is the food particles which have been loose, and they become dark and they settle. And this, when it again is reheated, and the new food is added into that and fried, then it will interact with the fresh food. So you have to use less oil. Then you eat on fortified foods with added vitamins and minerals for your daily diet. And be a smart consumer. Read what you eat. This is what I told earlier also. Why these labels? We are giving so much importance to the labeling. And the food industry, the FBO, the food business operator, is compelled to depict all the information. What are all the ingredients? Is it vegetarian, or is it containing any animal food source? Then is there trans fat? And is it gluten free? Does it have groundnut in it, because groundnut and some nuts can cause allergy in certain people. So all this information has to be mentioned, and when all this is mentioned, it becomes the duty of the consumer to read, so that he will be empowered, he can make smart choices. That is the overall purpose of reading labels. And I hope there is a small video. I don't know whether this will support. Can you hear it?
Yes, madam.
You can hear and see it, no?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, yeah. Please watch it. It is just about 2 minutes. So I hope that video was quite informative. It's none other than Rajkumar, the film star. They have roped in, and he has given this message very beautifully. And this is what I have been talking about. Thoda kam. So all this can, if you reduce, we can live a better quality of life. So eat healthy to stay healthy. Thank you so much. And if there are any clarifications, I will be very happy to clear them.
Okay, thank you, madam. Now we are facing the COVID problem.
Yes.
So this type of in future, if any type of disease will come, so how can we save our health? Kindly tell me.
Yeah, see, my talk was not related to COVID. Okay. But, anyways, what I can tell is because of this COVID pandemic, our lifestyle has undergone a lot of change. In these last 7, 8 months, we are not leading our usual lifestyle. In the first few months, parks were closed. If you were a regular, if you were going for a regular walk in the morning or cycling or playing any game, all that has stopped. But anyway, if you have a garden, if you have got enough space in your house, you can do some kind of activity. Or if you have a treadmill, you have a skipping rope. That is the best one. If you remember, when we were all children, we used to use that skipping rope so much that you can do spot jogging. In your own place, you can do it one place. There are so many exercises which we can do in the room itself, and you can do powerlifting. You can use weights, uh, squats, and so many kind of activities are there. You can do that to keep yourself physically fit. Now I think unlockdown 5, so many things are slowly opening up, so we can go for walks. And the choice of food, being at home, we all, including in my home, I'll tell you, like we all had a tendency in the first few months, 2 months, every day a new kind of a recipe was made. So we would compromise on something else, like the dinner would be light, These are some ways. If you know what is good and what has got high fat, high sugar, what is the source of carbohydrate or protein, then definitely we can make healthy changes. See, the major culprit are sugar, fat, and salt. Fat is oil. Okay, sugar, fat, and oil. Fat and oil, and then salt. So that is why in the Thoda Kam campaign also the focus is on these three.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Madam, there are many misconceptions about use of the ghee. Can you elaborate on this, madam?
Misconception?
About the use of ghee.
Ghee, is it? Okay.
Ghee, yeah.
Ghee. Yes.
Compared to other edible oils, it's better.
Yeah.
Many says it is better.
Edible oils, we have, see, butter and ghee is one source. Then the other one is the vegetable oils. That is groundnut oil, sesame oil, sunflower oil, and all. All these oils, whether it is from animal origin or from vegetable origin, they have fatty acids in them. Fatty acids are of different types. They are short chain fatty acids and long chain and medium chain fatty acids. Okay. It all depends on the number of carbons in them. Now, all the oils don't have the same fatty acid composition. So that is why we tell use two different oils for your cooking. If you remember in our homes, our grandma or our mother used to use one oil for making pulao. They never used to use the same oil. They used to use different, like maybe hydrogenated fat or add a little bit of ghee. And groundnut oil only was used, or vegetable oil was used to fry papads or pakoda and vada and all. We don't fry in ghee. We don't fry anything in butter, because each one of them has a different smoking point, and their temperature is different, liquefying temperature. Coming to your question about the use of ghee, you would be surprised to know that you are permitted to consume 1 teaspoon of ghee per day. 1 teaspoon, but your teaspoon should be the standard teaspoon only. 1 teaspoon you can use, provided your consumption of other oil is limited. So, in general, I'll tell you, per person per day for an adult, 20 grams of oil is permitted. 20 grams of oil, visible oil. Now we get invisible oil or lipid. How you get? You may ask me, how is it invisible? Now, when you eat a dessert or you eat a cake, you are not seeing how much of fat is inside that. Or when you take 7-8 cups of tea or coffee, milk is also coming to us, isn't it? Milk also has fat in it, so that becomes invisible fat. And we use coconut in our cooking. So coconut also is a source of oil, so that becomes a source of invisible oil. So therefore, whichever are the sources of oil or lipid in our diet, if we are aware of that, then we can make a conscious choice.